At this point, he will run away, and we must stop him. Alka immediately starts chasing him but remembers that he will regret not finishing him off immediately. As soon as he says this, he starts teleporting and suddenly disappears. However, in response to the words about not finishing him off, Alka just thinks that he will destroy him next time. Approaching the man, he says that he can still escape but doesn't know what to do next. Anyway, he will return with reinforcements, and Alka says that everything will be fine because it is time for him to leave here. If he comes back in his way, he will defeat him. The man says that he believes him. Alka says that they have lost a lot in this battle, so the man understands that they must report to the affected guild. Suddenly, Alka calls the man and says that he has a big request for him and asks if he can listen. After a moment, the man asks Alka if he is sure, and he replies that he has already decided everything. Now that they have returned to Alka's home village, the man immediately says that when he asked for the service of an adventurer as strong as him, he expected an extraordinary request, but he only asked to be taken to another town. Alka says that he actually wants to continue helping the villagers and being their protector, but he knows that the attention of disaster-class adventurers will come sooner or later. If he stays here, people like Baldar will find him, and he wants to avoid them. The man says that he understands everything, so he decides to listen to the request to the end, saying that they have faced world destroyers and have already reported the losses to the guild. He brings a magical communication tool and, since he will be leaving the village, asks some adventurers to protect the village, and it will be safe here for a while. Alka thanks the man for his actions, but upon approaching the shop, Alka is surprised to see that it is closed. He thinks maybe today is a holiday and the man asks if he really wants to talk to him. They can talk and exchange money from the trip. Alka says that they can go because if they are seen, it will be painful. He doesn't want to say goodbye to Mill and Leroy because they will be hurt just by associating with someone like him. After a while, Alka and the man arrive at the village exit, and the man immediately says that if he leaves now, he won't be able to return in the near future and asks if he will regret it. Alka says that he will not regret it. Before leaving, he hears a voice behind him. Turning around, he sees an old man who asks why he has a sad expression on his face. Is he really going to leave? He heard that he was leaving and made bread for the journey, giving him a package of bread. Alka apologizes for deciding to leave the village, but the old man says that he should smile if he decides to go. As an adventurer, he must have a good reason for his actions. The old man has been watching him since the beginning of the journey and asks him to leave with a smile. Alka smiles and says that he will go. The man realizes that the old man is a very kind person. After walking a few meters, the man eats the bread and asks how it tastes. Alka says that it tastes amazing and delicious. The man suggests continuing the journey because they need to find the town where the guild works at the southern headquarters of the Durham Adventurer Guild. Reminiscing about the girls, Alka realizes that he is leaving his village. One of the girls seems to see Alka leaving and immediately informs Layla. On the way, they see one of the carts being attacked by level 1 goblins, with the leader being a level 5 goblin. They realize that the traveling merchant caravan has been attacked and must do something. Alka says that maybe the man can store his belongings for a while, and the man agrees because he wants to level up before arriving in the town. Destroying the goblins, he absorbs their levels and becomes stronger. The man sees Alka and can't wait to see his true power. The goblins are quickly dealt with, and leveling up, Alka realizes that this is amazing, and the next destination is the southern town of Durham. After a while, Alka and his companion are already at the entrance of the town they are heading to. Alka just sees this crowd. Oh, I will be very surprised because this is the southern part of Durham City. This southern town is located northeast of Alka's village and is a large city in the southern part of the continent. While passing through, Alka just says that there are many people and the atmosphere of this city is very different from the village. This is not surprising because Durham is one of the largest cities on the continent, and the headquarters of the southern branch of the Central Light Adventurer Guild is in the center of the city. Its full name is the Southern Branch of the Central Light Adventurer Guild. On this continent, there are many guild headquarters with talented adventurers. His companion also tells Alka that there are many talented adventurers like him at this headquarters, and based on his background, he will not stand out unless he raises his level again. After all, by the time they enter this southern town, Alka's level is still low. However, Alka also understands that if it is not necessary, there is no need to raise his level. Alka just thanks his companion for his advice. But, in the meantime, he immediately says that on the way to the southern town, he raised his level a bit, and his companion suggests stopping leveling up for now. Alka does not understand why this is important, and his companion explains that if his level is very different from others, it will attract undue attention. After all, it can be imagined the situation if he roams around with a high level, people will say that he is a new adventurer with a disaster ranking or something. Alka understands that if so, he will indeed attract the attention of disaster-class adventurers. However, his companion continues talking because there is one more fact that if everyone finds out that he is the adventurer who defeated Baldar, many will want to make peace with him, and this will cause greater destruction. His companion has heard that among the disaster-ranked adventurers, there are many strange people. Therefore, it is better not to attract the attention of strange individuals, and an adventurer must stick together, measuring their strength. Since they are adventurers, they are obliged to protect and maintain the peace and tranquility of the citizens. Alka listens carefully and smiles. I understand. Ein is a talented and kind adventurer because he not only helps but also explains many things. Many adventurers only care about money and glory, like Baldar, but he still wants to be a good and fair adventurer like Ein. The fact that he has a high level means nothing because he needs to balance this power and use it wisely. Therefore, Alka immediately asks his companion where they are going now. Then he simply apologizes for their worry and not telling them earlier because they need to report about the world destroyers. So, first, they will go to the guild headquarters. Shortly after, they approach the central council of the Adventurers Guild in the reception area, where a girl welcomes them and asks about the mission they want to report. Ein reports the mission through a communicator, and the girl says that if that's the case, she will immediately provide the reward. She asks them to mention the name of the mission they completed. However, once his companion says it was the incident in Racker Village, the World Destroyers, everyone immediately falls silent, and the girl is very shocked. Alka doesn't understand what happened because everything suddenly stopped. But the girl quickly turns and asks them to wait because she will now bring their reward. After placing a bag of money on the table, the girl says this is the reward for the mission. She also says that since all the members of their group have died, the entire reward for the mission is given to the only survivor, Mr. Ein. Alka only now understands what is happening. He wonders why Ein came to this city and realizes that he feels guilty as the sole survivor of the massacre. This is tormenting him. The girl expresses her condolences, and Ein simply thanks her for her understanding. However, Alka doesn't understand what is being discussed. He asks his companion, and Ein explains that all his group members have died and now, as the leader, he must take responsibility for their lives. However, he knows that rumors spread faster than expected. He doesn't want his problems to affect Alka because he doesn't understand how everyone is so persistent and insults Ein, saying that he should give the money to the families of the victims who trusted him. They say that someone like him shouldn't be a leader and has betrayed everyone who believed in him. Ein also realizes that he must meet with the friends and families of his fallen comrades and accept all their anger. After all, he led the group, and because of his mistakes, all his comrades died. No matter how sad and difficult it is for him, and no matter how much he regrets what happened, it doesn't change the fact that Ein is guilty. People keep saying that he is a useless leader because they died because of his mistakes. Ein just looks at the crowd and responds that he takes full responsibility for what happened because he didn't manage to save any of his group members. So they all died because of his mistakes. Soon there is shouting. Although he deeply regrets what he has done, after all, they were all the best adventurers. Talking about the fact that their opponent was a high-level fire dragon and how they could possibly lose against it. What does Alka mean by all this? Listen, I understand they were wrong because not everything is as they say. A high-level world destroyer and no adventurer was ready to face such a destructive power. So, Alka decides to defend the boy and shouts for them to listen. After all, they were wrong. They clash but don't have time to resolve it. The boy immediately mentions Alka's name and starts saying that he is grateful that he was worried about him, but because of his mistakes, his B squad died. If only he had ordered the evacuation of all the villagers, they could have escaped death. But then someone from the crowd immediately starts asking Alka what he is talking about. He immediately starts pushing through the crowd, saying that Ein decided to condemn them to death for the reward. However, Alka firmly states that he would never do that, and the man tells him to shut up because he doesn't want to hear justification from a stranger. Alka responds that they are not strangers because they are with Ein, a high-level world destroyer. As soon as someone hears that level, they immediately start talking. If that's true, no wonder they came back alive. Furthermore, they needed someone to go to the guild and find out the details. However, the man opens the statistics and just waves his hand, saying they don't need to talk nonsense. After all, he sees that the man is high level. They say it's surprising they are at the same level because the man is also high level, and they also say how he could survive against a high level monster with such a level. Alka decides not to provide an explanation, he just says there is a reason for that. The man laughs out loud, talking about reasons and the fact that he made it all up, and immediately tells him to leave. Alka looks directly into the man's eyes and just says he will have to force him. They immediately clash swords, staring at each other angrily. Ein, seeing everything happening, immediately asks Alka to stop because everything is his fault since he couldn't save his comrades, and besides, he is a bad leader. Alka immediately says that's not true because all his comrades died, and that's a fact. However, no one could predict such an outcome from the incident. Ein was with his comrades until the end, even facing death, not fleeing and not abandoning his comrades. Besides, the person who arranged their deaths for the reward would never cry for his friends like that. Therefore, Alka says he is not a bad leader at all. If Ein wants to take responsibility for the deaths of his comrades, then he will not oppose him. He is wrong for taking responsibility for everything that happened because many things were beyond his control, and that's the only reason he wants to protect him from such thoughts. Alka immediately says that Ein is a leader who, despite the situation, did not abandon his comrades and avenge them. However, the man asks why he is helping him. Alka, extending his hand, tells the man that he is the ideal adventurer he strives to be. That's why he is helping him. But the man refuses to stop and also lifts his sword. The man says that at the end of May, he immediately attacks Alka along with the man with an attack from behind. Luckily, Ein sees this and immediately warns Alka to be careful. However, suddenly, a man appears who stops the attacker and says that finally, he has returned. Introducing himself as Ein, the man immediately says that finally, he has returned, and the man replies yes because he has just arrived in the city. However, Alka raises his sword and says that a terrible aura emanates from him, asking who he is. But the man quickly asks Alka to put down his sword and not point it at him. This is his comrade, the main adventurer of the Sword Rescue Guild, Master Jilly, the main adventurer of the Sword Rescue Guild, a level A hero. Hearing this, Alka looked at the man and said that he now understood that he was Ein's companion. Alka then responded that he had saved Ein in the battle against the World Destroyer, not only saving him but also defeating it together. When the others heard this, they were immediately shocked, as they couldn't believe they had managed to defeat the World Destroyer. Additionally, they knew the fool Baldar, and Alka was surprised that he knew him because he needed to tell everything that had happened in the village. The man said yes, he had reported to the central administration and the guild leader about Baldar because he did not destroy the World Destroyer in time. Thanks to Alka, they were able to destroy it, and all this would not have happened if Baldar had destroyed its core since he knew it well. Therefore, a reward was also given for his capture. Anyway, they had just arrived in the city, but the man also said that he was on an expedition and could not help his group, and Ein told him about everything that happened. After everything that had happened, as soon as he knew all the details, he arrived in Durham. As soon as he returned, a group of fools began blaming the commander of the forces for the death of their comrades without investigating the situation and finding out all the details. He also understood the pain of the victims' families and friends because no words or money would bring them back to life. However, they were adventurers, and they were obliged to maintain the peace and tranquility of the citizens. Every time, they risked their lives for the good of others. They knew what they were doing when they became adventurers, and it was their fate. Otherwise, what they did was shift the responsibility to others who fought alongside their loved ones until the end. He immediately said that with this, the conversation about the campaign was over, but Alka immediately asked the man if he was a good person. The man quickly said that there was no need to doubt it. However, there was a small problem: he was a very good person. He suddenly turned around and said that he would expel him from the guild. After that, Alka was very surprised because he did not understand what was happening. At the same time, Ein stood up and looked at the commander. The commander also said that even though they had resolved this misunderstanding, his incompetence could not be forgiven because as a leader who had cursed his entire team to death, he was a man with such a past in one of the strongest guilds in Durham. He could not leave the Sword of Salvation. Alka heard about the strongest guild in the city and did not understand what was meant by the first class. However, the commander continued by saying that unfortunately, he had no other choice. He asked if there were any objections to his decision. The man immediately replied no, but he also wanted to ask for something. The commander asked what he wanted to ask, and Ein immediately replied that he wanted Alka to be accepted into the Sword of Salvation. If he could find allies in the guild, he would be able to achieve many things in the future that would benefit the city. Alka thought that although they didn't know him more than Alka, everyone was a candidate to become a first-class adventurer. The commander immediately thought about it and said that he understood, but suddenly Alka said that they would be expelled from the guild. However, he said that he would never join a guild that abandoned its comrades. Ein immediately asked Alka to calm down because if he joined the guild, he would get support from various people. Besides, he himself wanted to help others and join the guild. Alka thought sharply about what was said and decided that he would form his own guild with his own hands without help. After some time passed in the city, Alka and a man stopped near a building. Alka immediately looked up and looked at the building, asking if the place was suitable for them. The man smiled and said that it was because this was where their guild story would begin. The man also thanked him for inviting him to their guild. Alka just looked at the man and smiled, happy to enjoy the little things here. Alka announced the formation of his own guild, and immediately after Ein was expelled, he became the first member of the new guild. The man looked at him with great attention, although there was still much to learn to become a great adventurer like him, and he would be happy to receive advice. At least now they had their own headquarters, but they realized that they had to build it from scratch because the building was damaged. The man immediately replied that they were not officially a guild yet and did not have much money because most of the money had to be used to buy this building, so they only had a little money left as a reward for destroying the world. Most of it was given to the families and people who died in the same expedition. Alka thought that his money and Ein's money were enough for everything, but he was slightly wrong. When opening a cupboard, a large clump of dust immediately headed towards Alka, and as soon as all the dust hit him, Ein laughed immediately because it was quite funny. However, Alka realized that with the remaining money, they bought this building to open their own guild, and they were struggling. However, after taking all the attributes for cleaning, they decided to start the general cleaning right away. Before Alka could do anything, he slipped and fell to the floor, drenched in water and a mop, and immediately laughed, saying that when he received this armor, his whole life became a battlefield. He also missed that peaceful money. However, suddenly 2 feet appeared in front of the building door that Alka and the man bought to open the guild. As soon as the door opened, they immediately heard an apology for the trouble outside. They did not expect what they saw in front of their door. They didn't understand how this was possible because there were thousands of lions beside it. The girls immediately said that they couldn't get rid of them just like that because he left without saying goodbye. They immediately ran towards Alka and hugged him. But in my head, a kind of panic suddenly appeared, and one of the guards shouted that there was an urgent mission. If there were any free adventurers, they had to head to the west gate of the city because monsters were appearing outside the west gate. As soon as the knights ran to the place, they were shocked by what they saw in front of them. It was a monster that looked very fierce and not only looked fierce but also very strange and not small. The girls immediately asked who had just taken and left the village. They waited for an explanation from him. Alka started saying something very confusing. Suddenly there were some voices behind the door and an alarm shouting that a group of monsters had appeared at the west gate and all adventurers who heard it should immediately head to the west gate. Alka turned to look at the man without saying a word, indicating that they had to go, and the man agreed because he also believed that it was time for them to move to the west gate. Standing next to Alka, he told the girls the reason why they decided to attack the village a little later. Meanwhile, they had to wait here and not go anywhere. Alka started walking around Ein. This was their moment after all. This was not their first mission as a new guild. At the same time, the adventurers who were near the gate did not understand why this big monster suddenly appeared at the city gate. The Monster King was the man who met Alka and started fighting with skeletons of different levels. He destroyed the skeletons in one move and said that the skeletons were no match for him because their levels were very different. Well, there were more than one enemy, up to 3 in a row, and the man immediately said that if they thought it would take hours, then they were very wrong. He rushed into the battle because it didn't actually last long, as the man was able to destroy them literally with one blow. However, he then asked another knight where old Jiraiya was. The knight said he had sent his father to find him, but he hadn't come yet. The man realized that the situation was dire for them. If that was the case, they had to go to war without him. Meanwhile, the monster was already standing quite close to the man, who just turned and saw what the monster was doing, which was releasing unknown orbs, and one of the orbs also caught the man, wrapping him up entirely, just like the other adventurers in the city. The adventurers immediately began to complain that their bodies weren't moving and they couldn't move at all. The man realized that this attack didn't cause damage. However, it was a desert curse spell, where the curse slowly destroyed one's body starting with simple numbness. If they were under the pressure of this spell for too long, everyone would die. They all perfectly understood that they could only feel one muscle and at this speed, this monster would destroy them. However, suddenly Alka flew into the battle and destroyed one of the skeletons, absorbing its level. He said that it was time for them to level up together with his partner. He said that in this state, he might not hold back and would destroy everything with maximum power. After some time destroying all the monsters, Alka reached a certain level. At that moment, the man said for him to leave the skeletons to him because he would protect them and had to face the monster. Alka understood this well and stood in front of the monster. He just stared at it directly and realized that the monster was a real curse and seemed to have already cast a curse on several adventurers. However, this time he had to endure the curse because he was interested in facing it or facing Alka's curse. At that moment, the same man appeared at the eastern gate of the southern city, saying that there were monsters at the western gate of the city. He was told about this, but also decided to check the eastern gate because explosions were heard loudly there. However, they thought that they couldn't meet the other monster troops. Meanwhile, the man was at a certain level and the monster at a certain level, and the man stood in front of the skeletons confidently, aware that they couldn't hurt him. He also understood that if he fought alone, he didn't believe he could win easily. Anyway, the man acknowledged that his opponent was admirable. However, unfortunately, no matter how big the army he gathered, victory wouldn't be enough. The man immediately used his legendary ability, Demon Appearance, saying that his life would end just a few seconds after his attack. Meanwhile, we return to the events at the western gate of the southern city where Alka said that this time, the one who would be cursed was this particular monster. Anyway, he wanted to see how the monster would face his attack because Alka was already strong enough with his level and the level of this particular monster. For now, Alka attacked the monster, destroying some claws. Suddenly, he was surrounded by several skeletons ready to attack. Unfortunately, they were completely outmatched compared to Alka because even a straight line and a sword were too hard for Alka, who said that if this was all they were capable of, then they had no chance against him and everything had to be destroyed. So Alka absorbed the levels and reached a certain level, but the monster seemed not even wanting to stop attacking, not understanding what was happening, even trying to attack but couldn't hit Alka because he was too fast. However, suddenly Alka saw strange orbs and immediately advised Alka not to touch those orbs. Alka said that everything was fine and there was no need to worry because none of these orbs would touch or hit him under any circumstances. However, when Alka fought the monster, one of the men didn't understand what was happening and, moreover, who he was because it was very surprising. You understand that this was the same man he fought in the square. Meanwhile, Alka performed a crushing attack and in the blink of an eye completely destroyed the monster standing in front of him, talking about how the monster cursed many innocent people, asking if he was satisfied with himself. However, regardless, it didn't matter anymore because despite the answer, it wouldn't help him as he would be destroyed at that moment. However, suddenly, literally all the orbs the monster had seemed to disappear and Alka didn't understand what was happening. While staring at them sharply, he thought that maybe the monster wasn't dead yet. However, in the meantime, all these orbs headed directly to the city. As he turned, he realized that he had lost his guard because all the orbs flew directly to the city. He immediately realized that the curse was flying directly to the city's residents. However, the residents soon saw something approaching them in the sky, but at this moment they didn't understand what it was. However, not Alka who saw this understood that the original target was the city's residents. Meanwhile, Alka absorbed the monster's level, raising my level to a certain point, seeing everything happening and understanding that the situation was dire for them. However, meanwhile, I was already at a certain level like Alka. They soon thought that the monster itself wasn't too dangerous because its ability was more dangerous than the curse. You couldn't get rid of it easily because the curse's victims experienced a slow and painful death, and for the monster's final attack, it should have caused most of the city's residents to suffer the curse. Someone in the city who could lift the curse immediately responded that it could only be done with magic and only high-level magic was capable of doing it. However, after thinking for a moment, he said that in the strongest guild in the city, the Sword of the Mage Salvation with such a level only existed in 3. However, when Alka heard about 3 mages in the whole city, he felt a little confused and surprised. The man also said that he only knew 3 mages who could face the curse and suddenly someone started running from outside the city asking the adventurers how they were doing as they approached. They were told to be patient because they would help everyone. One of the wizards quickly approached Lady Mina, saying that the curse affecting the adventurers was quite severe, but he believed they had a chance to save them. She immediately said that was amazing and that everyone should focus on supporting their fallen comrades, as she would not let anyone die. The girl was Mina, a high-level sorceress from the Safety Sword Guild. Only 3 wizards were capable of dealing with this curse, but the sacrifices from this initiation were growing by the second, and at this rate, they would not be able to save everyone. However, she did not understand what kind of curse it was. Even so, she understood that she could remove this curse, but it would take too long, and she knew that not only her comrades were suffering but also all the townspeople, and she had to save them all. Meanwhile, Alka had just tried to release a large amount of energy from himself, and at that moment, he realized that if he stood out too much, he would encounter adventurers of disaster rank. He could not avoid it, although he also understood there was a reason why he could not leave the adventurers in trouble, and thus he changed and acquired a unique ability, a heavenly blessing. He fired bullets that removed curses of any difficulty. The cost of this was, so Alka asked the person if he was acting correctly, because now he was level, and the person immediately smiled and said nothing because everything was clear. In fact, Alka aimed to save everyone from the curse. Alka indeed found it and fired bullets to remove the cursed state from everyone. But she couldn't believe what she saw as he lifted the curse from all the adventurers. She asked who he was and how he did it, then Alka turned and said they could talk about it later because now a curse was attacking the city, and they needed to save them. She immediately said, of course, they had to save everyone and that she would go with them, saying she was one of the strongest wizards in the guild and her duty was to help the victims. It had been some time since Alka, along with his friend and an intriguing girl, looked at the terrifying places within the city.